Hi, Claire.
Oh, hey, Julie.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited about what we're going to talk about today, just because I feel like it's been super prevalent in my own life. And I've talked to a lot of people who, I don't know, we might call it uh, detox burnout. I don't even know what we would call it, but
We're just
I
going.
think relate.
Okay, all right. We're jumping right in. Okay, this is episode 1 of Vessoul Vision, and so excited to be doing this with my friend Claire. We're calling it Vessoul Vision. It's Vessoul, like vessel, the boat or the vessel that receives, but we are the vessel. So our body is a vessel. And then vision, like what do we want to create with this body? What do we imagine? How do we create for our imagination? But then it's a little bit of a riff on television, vessel vision. Um, so I don't know about you, Claire. I'm finding that there's less and less that I love to watch on television. And so I'm hoping that we can be a part of creating something that people are entertained by. So first of all, I mean, let's face it, we like to be entertained. But then also that like activates the imagination and the thinking and the creativity and so I'm hoping that we're able to create something that adds value to our potential viewers' lives in some way and connect with the community because the thing about television, it goes one way unless you're married to someone who screams at the television but basically it's like you are receiving, right? You're receiving information, and then how do we create from what is going into our mind? But I hope that we're able to create this back and forth interplay with whoever tunes in.
Yes, I would love to see comments or just hear feedback from, regardless of whether you agree, disagree, you've had your own experience similar to what we're sharing. Like, the power is in the stories, and that's how humans have connected for forever. So we'd love to hear your story too.
Yay. Okay, well, should we just dig in about
Yeah.
how we dig in? Yeah. or actually, should we just dig out? I mean, should we dig out? I feel like
Yeah. I mean, this came up because you and I were talking, I don't know, a week or two ago, and we've had this conversation so many times, but if I can get your quote right, it was, I'm done being a purist, or something along, I'm so over being a purist. And I laughed so hard because I'm like, yes, how many of us feel that way? There's this whole kind of like awakening when you get woke to all the toxic crap that's in our environment and that we're ingesting and that we're putting on our skin and blah blah blah. We can go on and on and on and on and on. And now we're kind of swinging back this other way, in my experience, because of burnout. The constant narrative going on in our heads of like, well, this isn't good for me, well, this isn't good for me, oh, do I even know who grew this food, do I even know where this meat's coming from? If I'm not harvesting my own pork in my backyard, then it's toxic, right? It's like there's so much burnout happening because we have way too much information. And we love information, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but how do we navigate in a world that in all reality is toxic as hell? How do we navigate being as pure as possible, honoring our vessel, and not losing our shit and still trying to be a normal person in the world? We live in the world, we're humans, this is where we live. So that was just kind of where the convo went, and I just loved your I'm over being a purist. It was just crack.
Yeah, so I guess when you were talking, for me, purity evokes this innocence and the idea of just innocence. And in the way in which I was engaging or entering into a relationship with this information, everything around me was like my body was constricting, right? Like, so my vibration. So if we think of ourselves as these, ever moving, dynamic beings, which we are, right? And if I'm holding a frequency of hate or fear, what happens inside, things get tight, right? My cells, the way that they oscillate or spin or vibrate start slowing down. Okay, which means if something's not moving quickly, things stick to it, right? So that's how illness starts coming in. So every time I was going to get my apple, before there was this purity about me. I'm like a little kid, like, ooh, that apple looks so pretty. And now I'm like, where does this apple come from? Why is it so big? I mean, is it what did they use to make this apple so big? And it's so shiny. I wonder if there's any waxy coating on here, and that is actually a plastic that's going to slow. I mean, what? So now I'm in this energy of constriction around food that is to be our medicine, right? Our entertainment, our way of gathering, our celebration. It's lost the purity. And so it's funny that I said I'm done being a purist. Because I think actually something was, my back got janked up because I was thrown from a horse. That's a story for another day. But I mean, I am like doing yoga, I'm doing all the things, the Epsom salt bath, I'm doing alternating microcurrents, but I'm not having not having an ibuprofen. No. Certainly do not do that. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
And what is that? What do you think that's about for us to like, oh, is that an ego? I mean, maybe for me it is an ego thing of like, I don't take drugs. I've weaned myself off of, over a decade of antidepressants. I got off of birth control, and then I can see it in my friends' faces. Like a girlfriend shared with me last night. She's like, oh, I did have to get back on birth control. I was like, yeah, because you don't want a baby. Like, good choice. But like, I don't want my friends to feel like they can't share with me, oh, I had to take an ibuprofen for my back, because there's going to be judgment or something there. Like, what is that?
For me, it's not the judgment, it's my perfectionistic tendencies. And so it's that I have to do it right. And if I don't do it right, then that means that I'm not going to get there. I'm not, if I'm trying to, become this self-healing machine, this, vibration of light, and I'm going to reach my highest potential, then I must adhere to all these things. And that is so not it's not allowing my body or myself to fully flower in a natural expression, because I've got the container of perfectionism. I have to do it right. And it's just like, I'm not doing this right. And so then, we can turn that into a whole other thing. Where does that come from? When's the first time you didn't feel like you were loved because you weren't perfect? Blah, blah, blah. And there is a time and place for digging into all that. But just a simple understanding that, like, yeah, I have some tendencies to want to be a perfectionist. And it's funny, just the way that this whole thing started slowly. I've gotten to a place in my space, like my house used to be, perfect, like so perfect. You could eat off my floors. I was the crazy bitch down there with the toothpicks trying to get stuff out of the grout. It was nuts. But that was like in my 30s. And now, there's all kinds of stuff. This looks nice and tidy right here, but we got shit going on. And but I recognized that this perfectionism was creeping back in. And it was creating constriction actually. And I wasn't feeling joy. Every time it was time to like eat something, I was like, well, where is this from? What, I mean, I was just in my, oh, my head about so much. And, you know, the GMO, okay, got what, so when I started, I get messages, and that's again another thing, but my guides had said, I didn't even know what GMO was. I mean, that is how ignorant I was. Like 8 years ago, I was just bumping along, you know, I was just trying to, I don't know, do the things, raise my kids, clean the toilets, make sure the laundry was done, trying to use a little bit of my gifts to make a little bit of money. You know, that's what I was doing. And then all of a sudden, when this stuff came in, and it was like about, I learned a lot about man-made phosphates and GMO. I didn't know any of that. So I'm just sitting here in my house, you know, I thought I was meditating. And at a certain point, you know, my higher self, my whatever angelic realm was like, we're gonna need to talk to you because you don't know much. And so I got all this stuff, and I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I, oh my God, in myself all the way to like, and there's nothing I can eat. So
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, it's hard. I don't know how, if you want to share kind of how you know, we do this a lot. We do the pendulum swing, and that's normal. That's human. And like we were talking, the goal, if setting goals is a thing for you, is to find the balance, right? Like the equanimity, the middle ground where yes, I'm conscious about my choices of food, and for me it's been about tuning into my body, because I was so disconnected from what my body was actually asking for so long. So that's been like a muscle that I'm trying to kind of like retrain. Okay, what does my body want today? The balance between tuning in, knowing where your food comes from, and also grace. The grace of like, I'm a human. I'm here to have a human experience. That means I'm going to eat the nachos or the Doritos if I want to, or I'm not going to flay myself for not spending the money on organic. Right?
right. Well, when you said, what did you say? You said tuning into my body. And when you said that, the visual that came in for me was literally that one man band guy who's just like got the cymbals going, the bagpipes, boop, 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 you know, like damn, that is me. That's what I'm doing. That's how I feel. Like, how could, I mean, I have this cacophony of information and knowledge, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty good knowledge. I am pretty sure. I'm not sitting here going, yeah, that's bullshit. That's bullshit what they're telling us about the water. No, I'm pretty sure our water's pretty fucked up. Okay, pretty sure. And like our foods, like, you know, okay. Last year I did this like experiment. I got my zucchini from the store, and then I got my zucchini from the farmer's market, and then I tried to grow zucchini from the seed, from stuff from the store, no bueno, nothing's growing there. Nothing's growing there. Huh, that's weird. So these are just seeds that look like seeds.
Mm.
They feel like seeds, but they're not actually seeds because you can't grow anything from them. So I mean, okay, so pretty sure the stuff I'm getting from my farmer is a lot better than what I'm picking up at the store. Okay, this is true. But that one man band energy is me like literally driving 30 miles out there to pick up my food, you know, which sometimes I can and sometimes I can't. And then if I can't, it just means, well, I just don't have any fruits and vegetables now because that's not real food. And so the energy of that is exhausting.
Yes.
It's draining. It's not affirming my life. So I think, and to speak to your pendulum analogy, knowledge is power, ignorance is bliss. Knowledge is power. Ignorance is bliss. And once you know, you know. But what can we do? We talked about this, and I'm reminded of it again. I guess we used to pray, and there are many people that pray over their food still. Growing up, I was raised Catholic, and it was about being thankful for your food. It became very rote because it was just this memorized thing that we did, and nobody really thought about it. And the idea now, I do energy work, and I'm tuned into that now, that we can pray, send some energy to this food. All right, I'm gonna take the essence of me and my body knows exactly what it needs, and the divine intelligence of the energy that emanates from my vessel, and take a minute to just infuse some of that over the food. And instead of having that constricted, oh my God, this is shit, this isn't even real food, all of that.
Because then that goes into your experience of eating that food. If you think that it's a shit apple and you eat it, that will be a shit apple, and that's how it will be absorbed in your body.
Totally, because we're creating our reality. And it's so interesting, Claire, that you're saying this. It's helping me remember something. So again, one of the earliest, I don't know. So a tiny bit of background. I just used to meditate, and it was just meditation to quiet my mind. And then one day I was like, seriously, some crazy jolt went through my body, and it was like downloading all this information. Okay. So I got lots of that for later, but one of the things they said to me, okay, for your listeners, I knew it was like a collective consciousness. I felt like they were angelic. They were like interplanetary. And I felt like they were outside of me. And now I'm coming to understand that soul signature, that is me, Julie, but that's just a name, exists in all of the dimensions. So there's a me in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. So this is a conglomeration of my peaks. And so that's just now how I see it. But at the beginning, it felt like, who are these people? But one of the things they said, probably 2 years in, because they spent like the first year and a half, like, get your shit together, girl. Like, why you keep picking guys who don't love you? You know why? Because you don't love you. So you're gonna need to work on that. So I mean, the beginning was all just about, and then I think once we got past that, they said something about meat and eating meat, and they said, and I was like, don't you come for my filet. Do not come for my filet. I'm not having it. And they said, well, you're ingesting fear, because the way in which these animals are slaughtered, they're holding the cellular imprint of fear. And I was like, well, God damn it, because I'm a perfectionist. So I was like, well, guess I'm a vegetarian now. And I was like, but what about plants? I mean, they're dying too. I'm literally chewing the lettuce, and I bet the lettuce is unhappy with that. And they said, well, no, a plant, it's an offering. It continues to offer. It's not like I'm pulling up the whole thing. It's like, so I was like, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense, which is why I then became a vegetarian for, I don't know, maybe a year and a half or 2 years. And what started happening to me within about a year and a half, my system was breaking down. Like all my skin stuff started. I mean, so much stuff started for me. And I was like, where's this coming from? I eat meat again. My body just needs it. It feels better. It just feels better. But I bring it to this is because I stopped eating meat because the animals were holding fear, and I became the animal holding fear around every single thing I was eating,
Hmm.
which is so ironic.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm glad that you shared that, because I think in the spiritual communities, which I just got this inspiration a couple days ago that I would really like to write. I'm a writer and I would like to write a piece called The Cult of Spirituality. In these spiritual communities, I'm not saying they're all like this, of course, but it can become this really regimented, this is what it looks like to be enlightened. This is what it looks like to be super connected spiritually to the divine. And in those communities, vegetarianism and veganism is big, really big, and for all different kinds of reasons. I think what we're coming to understand is that there is no right way. There is a right way for me, for today, which may be completely different than the right way for me tomorrow. And I love that you were able to kind of like to pivot and to give that up, because I've actually talked to several people who have tried being a vegetarian and it doesn't work for their body. And I did the same thing. I tried for a little bit. I learned about, oh my gosh, liver detox. And I learned about fruitarians, people who exist only on fruit. I learned about breatharians, people who exist only on breath. Yes, that is a real thing. And then I'm starting to be like, oh, well, this is the goal, right? This is where I'm trying to get to. Once I'm enlightened enough and I'm spiritual enough, then I'll be able to exist on just fruit or breath. And it sounds silly now that I say it, but these are actual thoughts that like went through my mind. Like, oh, I'm just not spiritual enough yet, And what did I do from that program? I took away hot lemon water in the morning, celery juice, which has changed my freaking life. And now I do have kind of a detox regimen when I want to. When I decide to do a detox regimen, now I have the tools for that. But that's the thing, is that detox isn't meant to be a lifestyle. And our bodies are detoxing constantly. And then we buy this whole thing that we need to be detoxing constantly.
Well, and if we are supporting our cellular function with the integrity of our thoughts, right? Joy, expansiveness, freedom. My liver and kidneys, I think they got it going. They figured it out without a lot of interference from me. Now, we are interfacing with a lot of interference in many different ways, but if I can hold the vibration of joy and excitement and happiness, right? I mean, all of those, and ease, my body just thanks me. My body just thanks me for that, because I'm like helping my body in that way. So funny. This guy, he runs this like bar on this island, and oh my God, he's this scuba master. He's probably 50, spiritual, interesting guy. Born and raised on a small Bahamian island. And, but he's got these otherworldly thoughts and connections. And, he wrote a book and we like to talk about all this, stuff. But he owns this bar. And I mean, this guy is drinking. He is doing some drinking. And his body is very nice. It's pretty chiseled. It's looking young. And I'm like, he's 50. And I'm like, this dude is a drinker. So I said to him, and I won't use his name, I'm just going to call him Jason. That's not his name. I said, Jason, how do you do this? I mean, what is your liver saying to you when you're drinking like this during the day? And he's like, my liver thanks me. My liver thanks me. He meant it. He literally meant it. And I was like, this guy's not kidding. And I mean, one of my biggest things that I go back and forth with is like, oh, my cocktails, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go a little time without my cocktails because it's not good for me. Like, yeah, it's not good for me. And maybe I'm clearing family alcoholism, all this crazy shit. But now every time if I have a cocktail, if I bring that energy of conflict to it, then I'm not in harmony. Like I'm literally not in harmony. So, my guide said to me once, don't be a fence sitter. So don't think one thing and then do another, right? Because you're just like, nah, nah, nah. Just decide what you want in that moment and just do it with joy. Do it with joy. So if I'm gonna have a cocktail, I better fucking do it with joy, man. Like this is great. I'm excited for the relaxation and it's the end of my day and this lime and yum. Not like, you dirty little habit, you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think as you're talking, it's kind of coming up like it's presence, right? And I think about, yes, with the drinking, with any kind of substance, for me, it has changed the entire experience with any substance when we approach it with honor, with respect, with a treat for ourselves, with love, right? And even, with plant medicine, like approaching it in ceremony, with reverence, with gratitude, versus, back in college, going to music festivals, popping pills, and you're gone, right? There's no presence there. You're going to have a completely different experience if you bring the presence to it. And if I could just share, I've been kind of expanding my morning routine, and I'm in this yoga training program and they're all about Ayurveda. So this is an Ayurvedic approach. I am not peddling Ayurveda in any way, shape, or form, but this is something that I've been trying. So first thing in the morning, you wake up, you kind of splash your face with cold water. I'm totally jumping on the cold shower train. I love it.
I am not on the cold shower train because that's torture. And I do not want to torture myself anymore. Okay.
You should not torture yourself then.
Okay, go ahead. I'm like, oh.
So I brush my teeth. I use my tongue scraper. I mouthwash, like do oil pulling with this like minty oil. It pulls all the gunk out of your gums and your teeth and your tongue, because the mouth has a lot of bacteria and all that. Spit it out. Dry brush my whole body. Then I put oil on my body. Ayurveda is all about oil everything. I use Nasya oil in my nasal passages, a few drops in each nostril, and it like just kind of coats my sinuses. And then I take a cold shower. And this is all something kind of new. I've been doing this little routine for the past couple of weeks, and I love it. I love it so much. But when I share this with people, I think it creates like an anxiety of like, oh, now I gotta, apparently I am supposed to be taking cold showers. And I was laughing about this with my sister-in-law. She was like, yeah, now every time I get in the shower, I'm like, you should be taking a cold shower. I'm like, I know the feeling.
Exactly. Exactly.
But here's the difference. The moment that routine becomes a burden to me,
right,
I want to give myself the freedom to let it go. And that's challenging for me because I'm a Capricorn. I love me a good routine. And the presence of it makes me so happy in the morning. I'm dry brushing. I'm like, oh my God, my skin is amazing. I'm beautiful. I'm like telling myself all these affirmations. It's the presence, right? Whereas when we check out and it becomes this routine of like, I'm taking these pills and I'm taking my tinctures. When we lose our presence, that's when it becomes no longer, in my opinion, aligned for us. So
Yeah, yes. And the why behind
Yeah.
it. So is it so that I'm good enough, or so because there's something wrong with me right now and I gotta change this, or is it because, I just really love being sensuous with my body, whatever it is. I mean, it's funny that you're saying that, and it's so reflective of Claire and I mean, we are on the flip side of the same coin. Like, we share so many similarities and such a deep love for each other and all the things.
Mm.
But she's always on the other side. So she's over there saying this, which I didn't know you were doing this. I am so proud of myself. It has taken me many, 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 many years to get to what I've done for, I think it's 10 days now. I'm putting on oil. Putting oil. I'm putting oil on my legs, putting oil on my arms. It takes me about a minute, but I'm doing it. And I mean, for like the last couple of years, I've been like, damn, skin's so dry. I'm like, wow, my skin's dry. Got some dry skin. Wonder why I have dry skin. Shoot, I've got some dry skin. And then it was like, you could tend to it. You could actually sit down and like, and so I'm this minimalist, right? Like, that's my MO, is just to like bare bones this shit, right? Let's just bare bones this shit. Let's do it as quickly as possible, as cheap as possible. I don't want to spend too much money, all that stuff. And it's not me, it's out of balance, right? Because if anyone around me, client would come to, what I recognized, if a client would come to me with a problem and they'd talk about their skin, oh, I get some messages and about self-love and about taking the time to like really, send, gratitude and nurturing to your vessel. And I mean, I'd say it to them and I'd mean it. And if they came back and they were still complaining about dry skin, I'd be like, whoa, what the fuck? You're not putting oil on your skin. And so I love that you are so, but when you said that, I was like, oh my God. Who the fuck has time? Like, I do have time. I actually do have time. I got nothing but time. But my first thought is, who the fuck has time for that, Claire? And then I'm like, how much money does all that shit cost you? And it's all these things that, let's face it, that's a program. That is just a program, right? And I guess to even talk about what we're trying to create here, it's just a space to like recognize what thoughts are my own, right? What thoughts do I want to keep? What behaviors do I want to keep? What do I want to get rid of? What do I want to incorporate? How do I feel in this? And so I have all these program thoughts. I don't have time for that. Nobody has time for that. It's like, well, that costs a lot of money. I mean, that's ridiculous. What do you spend on that, Claire? No, right? So there's that Claire can spend an hour on herself in the morning with love until it feels like a burden, and it's all great and it's all beautiful, right? And this is reminding me of another thing that they said to me once: just because you're all human doesn't mean you're the same species. And I mean, that sticks. We're not the same.
Yes.
We're not. We're different, right? And if I can honor myself, I can honor Claire, right? So I hope that even what we're talking about, hey, this is just what works for me or what doesn't work for me. And hopefully we can start to identify the ways in which all of this information is either elevating and integrating or deharmonizing or creating deterioration. And I think when I made that proclamation, I'm done being a purist, I was like, I'm hungry. Okay, let's start there. I don't have a fruit basket in my kitchen. I got a fucking basket of supplements. Okay, I got a basket of shit, but I can't really take it unless I've got a food in my stomach. And I'm just like, I'm over it. I'm over it. Now, I'm not gonna, be a gal who's gonna run out and get a box of Pop Tarts. But I could probably have some toast with some peanut butter on it. Probably that'd be fine. I don't need to think about the fucking sugar or, oh my God. I mean, what's going on with our grains? Our grains are GMO modified. So if I eat bread, then I'm gonna get holes in my gut. I'm gonna have leaky gut. And then when I have leaky gut, I'm gonna have inflammation. Then when I have inflammation, my joints are gonna deteriorate. Oh my God, I'm getting old. I can't do Botox because that's poison. I mean, I can't put poison in my face. Now I'm achy and ugly and hungry.
Well, and yes, and no.
But yes, okay. Yes, I know I'm not all those things, but damn it, I'm so sick of trying to do it right, and it doesn't feel good, and it's causing me stress, and I'm missing out on the celebration of it all. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a big celebration, and I can choose to look at the noise and the bullshit and our soil being I can look at that, and that's doesn't feel like much of a celebration. But on the same day, in the same moment that all of that is occurring, a baby's being born, a flower is opening, a rainbow is showing the glory of hope and its colors. That is happening on the same day, in the same moment. And so, where do I put my attention? Put my attention on that fucking rainbow every time, man. And I forgot. And that like made me cry. Like, I'm like, that
Preach
made
it.
but it's true. It's true.
Well, yeah, and again, it comes down to the balance of like, yes, I am responsible. I have the honor of tending and caring for this beautiful garden that is my body. It's the only one we get, right? And the body itself is so wise and actually doesn't need a whole lot of our help. Like, everyone knows someone like this, like your great aunt or your grandpa who smoked for 60 years, lived to be 95, drank every day of his life. Everyone knows someone like that. The body is magnificently designed to send us messages and to function beautifully on its own. So I think of just that perspective shift that you were talking about of like, it's not something to be controlled. It's not something to be fixed constantly. And for us fixers, we love a good project, right? I mean, like, you got me going on sun water. I love my sun water. Julie was like, fill a glass jar with water, put it out in the sun every day and just drink that shit. And I do, and it's beautiful and I love it. And my friends all laugh at me. Whatever. I mean, you got me going on coffee enemas. Coffee enemas ended up not being for me. Okay. Like, we can try these things. It's all an experiment. Does this work for me? Does it not? And instead of assigning a moral choice, is this good or bad? It's just, does this feel in alignment for me right now? And like you said, what's my heart in coming into this? What's my attitude in coming into this? Is it from lack? Is it from scarcity? Is it because I'm not enough? Or is it the joy of the experiment?
Yes. So may we break bread. May we raise our glasses and toast. I mean, may we just share the bounty. And I think that there is so much beauty and new life, new attitudes, new information. And it's what do I choose to ingest, and how do I choose to receive and ingest? Whether it's food, attitudes, information, all of it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm done being a purist.
No more of that. Let us be free.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. I guess comment, right? Like,
Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts, and also, the beauty of community. Share what is working for you with your diet, with the way you tend to your vessel. Like, if we can share openly without expectation that this is right for everyone, then I think we can really help each other just find things that do feel really good for us. And if it doesn't, let it go. That shit's not for you. Bye.
right. Yeah. So thanks for being with us today. And if there's something also, which would be fun, if there's anything you'd like to see discussed, like it'd be fun to kind of see what are people interested in. I know Claire and I each bring our own kind of, I'm a jack of all trades. I am an expert at nothing, but we do have our own experiences in certain things. So if you're really interested, like Claire mentioned, she's into she's going to be Kundalini yoga certified. If you want to learn more about that, I'm into energy work and channeling and tarot. If you want to learn more about that, I guess it's all approachable, right? It's all accessible. So it's not, oh, Claire knows how to do this or Julie knows how to do that. We're hoping to create a community. I love this Van Morrison quote. Claire knows how much I love it, but it is at the core of what the energy I try to bring when I'm working with people is Van Morrison. So we'll have to give him credit. Yeah, no method, no teacher, no guru. Yeah, there's millions of methods. There's millions of teachers. There's millions of gurus, but the guru is you. How do you feel? How does it make you feel? Follow that.
Let's end with that. That was beautiful. Thank you.
All right. I love you.